Hi there folks, my name is Novawing24 and welcome once again to another interview here at FlightSimCon 2016. So we're joined today by Don. Don is here from, he's from Boston Virtual ARTCC. He's also the US Director.
I am.
US Director of VATSIM. So we're here today to talk about, VATSIM is something that we hear a lot of, and Don, I know my personal experience in the past with VATSIM have not been positive. And I know there's a lot of concern out there in the community of people sort of going, I've heard of this, this creature called VATSIM. What do I do? How do I go about doing it? Because it's for some people, especially when you first come into our world, there's a lot of challenges and there's a lot of confusion about what is expected, what kind of help you can get, and what is the expectations of both someone who wants to be a virtual pilot and also be a virtual controller as well. I want to talk to you today about how do you see that happening? What do you see your role, and how do you see across the virtual and VATSIM as a whole? How do you see those businesses working together?
Yeah, I can definitely see and appreciate people being intimidated because VATSIM is a wide, vast network with thousands and thousands of people on it already. Members, hundreds of thousands of members of VATSIM. Usually hundreds, if not thousands, of members online at any given time, and they're all pretty much, it's intimidating. You think everyone's got all of their stuff together, everyone knows what they're doing, and it's like, it's not always that way, and I can understand why someone would be intimidated. But I can say, personally, there is an expectation that you kind of either know what you're doing or want to get there, okay? And I think in years past, it was more of an expectation that you knew what you were doing, and people were like a little, standoffish in terms of providing help. Yeah, I think the community has grown in the past few years to know that that's not a good long-term survival strategy. It's not a good survival strategy for the network or for the hobby as a whole. So I think there's been a little bit of a culture shift over the last few years in trying to be a little bit more helpful and remembering, oh, by the way, it's the same thing for me, right? Yeah, I was new once, and I remember on the first 10 days that I ever flew on VATSIM, hey, I didn't do everything perfectly, and I came to VATSIM with a ton of real-world pilot experience, kind of understood what was going on, but it's just a different world, and you have the ability in VATSIM to fly across the globe, okay? The world is your limit. And you have the ability to fly in stuff that you don't normally fly in. I've never flown with Boeing 737 in my life, in the real world. I do it all the time on VATSIM. It's fun. It gives me a different perspective, something that I don't get to do all the time. But I'll tell you what, I don't know the 400 million buttons in a Boeing 737 the first day or 10 days that I joined VATSIM, compared to like a Cessna 172 or 182 that I feel very, very comfortable with. So I think there's been this shift though, where you were expected to come fully prepared, fully knowledgeable, you be the 100% perfect pilot, know everything and hear everything perfectly and do everything perfectly. And controllers weren't right there to help you. They were really frustrated and upset if you didn't know what you're doing. I've seen that change a lot lately, especially like in a community like Boston Virtual, and there are several others out there too. There are virtual airlines out there. There are other ATC communities out there too that do a similar type of thing, but they really are knowing that, hey, we're not going to grow as a community, we're not going to be vibrant as a community, we're not going to be welcoming as a community if we don't really try and help people. Now, I'll be honest with you. So, we all try and do that. Now, I'll be honest with you. There are times when it's like I'm really busy. I'm like, I have 15 aircraft on my scope, and I'll tell you what, I probably sound pretty snippy if you don't know what you're doing, and I'm like, don't really have the time to hold your hand and get you there. For that in advance, I apologize to anyone that have done that to in the past, and that I'm going to do it to in the future. When it's that busy, it gets kind of crazy. I always feel bad about it afterwards, and I always try. And I think, especially with the Boston community, a lot of people, everyone's always trying to be okay, right? No, by the way, it's not unlike the real world. Guess what? They're full scope, full of aircraft, and you get one guy that starts, messing up and everything like that. They get snippy too, but not to say that it's okay, but we try and do better.
So I guess just wanted to go on one of the things you said was, it's about getting started and that wanting to learn versus what you come prepared. So I guess from a perspective of, let's take for example, we've got a new pilot, they've got their F6 Steam Edition, they've read about you guys, they've read about VATSIM, and they go, you know what, I want to get involved. What would be your top 3 things that you would say to that pilot who goes, I want to try VATSIM, but I don't want, I don't know the procedures, I'm not a real world pilot. What would be the 3 things that you would say to that pilot to say, do these?
Probably the biggest thing is and this can be intimidating too. We have probably 16,000 pages worth of reading of, what to do, what's expected of you on the network. What it really boils down to is we have something called the Pilot's Resource Center and a Get Started Guide. If you read those couple of things and understood that we're looking for people to follow the code of conduct, call air traffic control if there's air traffic control there, learn a couple of tips and tricks about what not to do and what to do, it gives you a good foundation to make your experience a heck of a lot better. And then the next thing is that most people, when they log on, it's not required for VFR pilots, but most people, even VFR, will file a flight plan. There's a remarks section. If you say newbie, you're new to VATSIM, or help me please, or something like that, it's not always a guarantee that the controller is going to read the flight plan comments, but most of them do. Most of them try to be pretty good about it. And if they see that, then they're like, okay, I got to be a little extra patient, I got to be a little extra helpful, and it kind of, they know what to expect up front. So those things, do a little bit of reading. Don't just log on, spawn on a runway somewhere, mess up in the middle of an event that's got 150 aircraft inbound in the next half hour or stuff like that. Start off slow, and you can start off slow in a Cessna, you can start off slow in a Piper, you can start off slow in a Boeing 747. It doesn't matter. Just don't bomb onto an event not knowing what you're doing when there's 20 controllers there. It might seem like really cool. Oh my God, there's 20 controllers and 100 airplanes on the airport. But if you mess things up, it ruins everyone else's experience. Start it slow, build up to it.
So and that's probably a great point that you mentioned, that they've got the resources, and a lot of people, I know in the past it's often been hard to find the resources that you need to get yourself started. I mean, I know when I've tried VATSIM in the past, trying to find those resources, knowing what to have, what to be aware of before getting started was quite challenging to find. So those are readily accessible from your site?
They are, and they've gotten a little bit better. The website's been redesigned a little bit over the last couple of years also. We've seen this push and really tried to make it smart in terms of, you can find that on the front page of the website. There's a big button there that says pilots. You click pilots, and it brings you to a number of different things, but including the Pilot Resource Center, including the Getting Started Guide. Another good thing for pilots to do too is to participate in the pilot training that VATSIM's been offering in the last few years. That's been growing like wildfire lately too. It's all through organizations called Authorized Training Organizations, or ATOs. And what it is you get signed up with one of those. There are some that are VA specific, so if you want to become part of a virtual airline community, you can and participate in training that way. If you don't want to, there are other organizations that you don't have to be a member of a virtual airline, and you can just get training from people who actually care about training new pilots on the network. So it's really altruistic. It's really nice. But that's another avenue. If you're not certain about your pilot skills, and Boston Virtual has actually a fantastic program, and there are others like it, but it has a fantastic program, a set of 6 VFR flights, 14 IFR flights, and you can actually walk through one by one, and each one, it's got a lesson, it's got a syllabus of what you're supposed to learn, it's got a completion standards. Every flight that you do, you do as many of them for practice as you want. Every flight where you want to take a test, as long as there's a controller online to basically witness the fact that you're meeting standards, they'll either turn around and help instruct you if you're not, or they'll certify you if you are, and those lead towards some of the VATSIM pilot ratings as well.
So it just sounds like you guys have become a lot more welcoming to the community and responsive to the community of going. And it goes back to what you were saying before, that for longevity for us as a community, to grow is going to be essential that we offer, and that altruistic training and assistance to each other, and that's a really positive thing to see. And it's been great here seeing you guys at FlightSimCon and watching with the controllers and pilots on sort of each side of the table, and great to be able to see that those faces to the voices at the end of the headsets. Yeah, very impressive. So, where do you see it going? Like, where do you see? So, you said that sort of VATSIM's had this rediscovery of itself almost, sort of going back to the roots, going back to training. So do you see that growing as a more training oriented?
I hope so. I really do. I think it's important, like I said, for us as a community, because we are a small niche community, right? And as people die off, if we're not attracting new people, we're attracting people, that either hadn't heard of flight simming before and want to try it out, and maybe people are hanging up their wings from real flying or something like that, air traffic controllers retiring, or even people that you might not have thought of originally. Like I talk to air traffic controllers, real world air traffic controllers, and I say, hey, this is what we do for air traffic control. You might find it interesting, but this is what we do for flying too. And actually, I think I've hooked more air traffic controllers in as pilots, because they don't want to do what they do for real world again as a hobby, right?
They want to fly the other side.
They want to do the other side, and actually, that's where a lot of our learning and a lot of my personal learning has come. I've become much better as a real world pilot by practicing the ATC stuff. So,
well, I know because I know from a little before this that you do a lot of real world flying. I believe you're a flight instructor.
I'm a flight instructor and certified as an air traffic as an airline transport pilot.
So, and that's something that always a lot of people ask me about. It's something that I've often found very hard to answer. How do you find your simulation experience assisting you with that real world environment?
Oh, it's phenomenal. I got my ATP and my CFI when I was young and single and stupid. Now I'm married, I got kids. And my wife put it to me one day. She's like, well, I was getting ready to go off to the airport, and she says she's holding the 2 kids. She's like, what's more important to you, your flying or your family? Well, how do you answer that?
That's a tough call. That's a really tough gig.
Yeah, but there's only one right answer.
So for you to still be alive, yes,
exactly.
There is only one right answer. Yes.
So I cut down my flying. I was real world flying like 500 hours a year, and I went down to like 5. It was bad. What this did for me, though, both by getting my head wrapped around air traffic procedures from the air traffic control side, as well as flying procedures, I kept current. I mean, yeah, I wasn't in an airplane all the time, but my head was current. And I'll tell you what, once you get enough, experience in a real world airplane, it's all in your head. I mean, you have to, being intellectual about it and doing it, the right way is based on whether you know and are comfortable with procedures. So the rest of it's just muscle memory.
Yeah, exactly. And I think that's a great sort of way for people who might potentially want to be using flight simulation to look at going into real world aviation or real world air traffic control. I think it's a good way for them to get their head around those set of procedures and the process. And while it may not be 100% real world, it still gives you that headspace that you need.
Absolutely, and it helps you. I mean, it helped me stay current. It helped me stay proficient in terms of knowing procedures. In terms of doing the flying, like if I knew I had a flight coming up and I've never been to that airport before, I've never seen the terrain around there before, I would do it in a sim, and that was always really very helpful to me too. When I was a student, when I was learning how to fly instrument procedures, I would jump into the sim and actually fly it and track my progress along with the chart to see if I was doing okay or not. So it is a great way to kind of build your skill. It's a great way to maintain your skill, and it's a great way to find new skills.
Excellent. And that's really good. As I said, it's really positive to hear, from the US head of the that you've got that mindset of actually, be welcoming, be inviting, be willing to help and be trained. But I guess the flip side of it also is that for those who are wanting to try it out, be ready to learn.
Absolutely.
I guess that's the other side of it.
Yeah.
And I think it almost goes without saying, but it is worth saying that the expectation is that the pilot or controller coming aboard wants to learn as well. I think that it's a two-way street.
Yeah, it's not a sandbox for playing games, right? It's not for screwing around. I mean, it's not a game; it's a simulation, right? So, and we try to be true to that. We try and employ as many of the real world procedures, both flying and controlling, as we absolutely can. So, I mean, there's this we call them kindergartners. There's this faction of people that get on that feel like, crashing into every other airplane and tower, and that's not tolerated. If you're there, if you don't know, if you're nervous, ask for help. If you're there and you're nervous and you ask for help and you're showing that you really want to give it a shot, people will be there to help you.
And that's really fantastic to hear. So excellent. Look, thank you very much, Don, for your time today. Pleasure to meet you. Pleasure to see you here at FlightSimCon. So, folks, it's okay. The networks, the online networks like VATSIM and IVO, they're not as scary as they sound. They're really not. You do have some great opportunities. You've got some great organisations like Don from VATSIM and Boston Virtual ATC where you can learn. And the fact that those resources are now available for you and easily accessible, it will make your journey and your life onto this multiplayer world a lot easier. So look for Don when he's controlling and support the guys. But just remember, it is about it's about learning. Learning is a key to life, and learning is a big thing here about flight simulation as well. All right, folks, thanks very much for joining me for this next interview here at FlightSimCon. Don't forget, as always, to like the video, subscribe, and say thanks very much to Boston Virtual for the guys who organised FlightSimCon. Catch you later.